Hello and welcome to a soft pause. Today we're going to do a bit of an update. It's been a while since I have talked with you. For those of you who have followed me from the beginning of this channel was developed when I took a cat named Cuddles in from a group called the Kitten Academy, and when in cooperation with DAWS, I was asked if I would take on a cat who had been a mama and was a little bit of a spicy mama, and they were asking if I could take her in and see if I could socialize her so that we could get her out as a companion animal. So Kitten Academy has quite a following and had asked if I would start a YouTube channel so that they could kind of see the progression of Cuddles' development. So here we are today. Still working on, I do a lot of animal rescue. I've done fostering for about 400 animals now with different organizations. And I started this process back in 2019 with my cat Zazu, who at the time was an abandoned kitten in Centerville, Iowa. And I brought him back here to Connecticut knowing that the animal control system in Iowa was going to probably euthanize him. So brought him back to here, started looking into rescues, and then ultimately ended up keeping him for myself and getting into the fostering program for rescues at that time. So I did that because I had some additional time on my hands at that time. Again, back in 2019, I had been diagnosed with lymphoma, which was a challenging time for sure. That on top of COVID hitting in 2020, I like to say that I had the 3 C's: cancer, chemo, and COVID all at the same time. Have recovered from that. I'm in remission, probably close to what you would say cured, although I guess with cancer you never really get to say cured 100%. But anyway, that is going well for me. Over the last couple of years I have developed an additional issue where my heart and my lungs are having a little bit of trouble. They are thinking now that is in relation to the chemotherapy cocktail that I was on, although not really sure. We're still in the process of figuring that out. At any rate, my heart is having some difficulties with pumping blood the way it should, and therefore my poor lungs that are along for the ride are having trouble with getting the oxygen to me in the way that they need to. So now I have oxygen intermittently. Days are good, days are bad. So that's where I am right now with I think that the barometric pressure has something to do with my changes as well. And for those of you that don't know, we had a little over a foot of snow dump in the Northeast on Sunday, and so here I am again trying to deal with oxygen. So that's what's going on with me. I'm only explaining that. I appreciate all the well-wishing that I've gotten. I'm really just explaining it to explain why I have the oxygen tube in my nose. But it has not stopped me from doing the fostering and having the animals here to love. And I'm going to go through some of the animals that we have, but I am going to first explain some of the changes that have recently happened for a soft pause, and actually many others that are out there right now that has to do with Danbury Animal Welfare Society, and that is the rescue that I have been working with over the last couple of years. And they put out a letter last week. For those of you that don't know, Danbury Animal Welfare Society had a long-standing veterinarian, Dr. Carrie Brenner, who passed away, and so DAWS understandably has gone through a lot of changes. both in personnel and procedure. And so they now have a veterinarian in place who is now the medical director. She is making some changes along with the administration to multiple systems at Danbury, one of those being the foster program. And I had heard some rumblings that they would be changing the foster program at DAWS, and then received a letter, or saw a letter that had been put out for the community, highlighting their changes to the foster program. So this is the letter that was sent out. As you can see, they have highlighted the animals that will, going forward, be looked at for the foster program and how that is changing. So I received notification from the foster coordinator stating that they would most likely not be taking the tomcats or the feral moms at this time. And as you can see with the bullet points that I've put up, that they are also changing some of the animals or the situations for animals coming into the shelter, meaning that they are going to no longer have the puppies or kittens over 8 weeks of age in the foster program, unless they have medical issues or other issues that are going on. So any animal, any puppy or kitten over 8 weeks of age will now be housed at the shelter, as will mothers. So if you have a pregnant mother, it's my understanding that if you have a pregnant mother, she will be in the foster situation until her kittens reach 8 weeks of age, at which point they will bring them into the rescue, which for me was disappointing. For those of you who follow me, you know, but those that don't know that I have kind of become the spicy mom haven, and I've been trying to get a program running for the tomcats as well, that we are trying to, I say we a lot, you'll hear me say we a lot, it's me, and a couple of people that help me from time to time as well, but for the most part me. I have been trying to work on bringing tomcats in. I originally called the program for the boys. I'm kind of thinking about changing it over to being Tom's Gone Tame. So far I've had 6 tomcats over my time of fostering that we have brought in off the streets and worked at length with, to socialize and to get out into a companion animal situation. So I would like to continue with that program. We have a new cat. His name is Rorschach, and he is my current tomcat that I am working to rehabilitate and hopefully get out into a community companion situation. So that being said, I was then contacted on Thursday. Rorschach, who was actually supposed to come in on Thursday for a to be neutered. I received a call the day before on Wednesday from the kennel director saying that all of the 4 cats that I had needed to be brought in for examinations. When I inquired as to why they needed examinations, since they were not due for anything, he was vague and said that the vet would just like to have eyes on them. When I pressed a little further and asked whether they would be coming back home with me, he said that no, they would all be staying at the rescue, which I opposed greatly. Of the 3 cats that I have at my residence right now are Mystique, Larkspur, and Rorschach, and those 3 are animals that have special needs. Mystique has been with me for about 2.5 years. She came from the streets, and she's going to take a special home with someone that just wants a companion but doesn't want a snuggle bunny. Larkspur was abused prior to coming into fostering, and was pregnant when I got her in. She's come a long way, but she certainly is not, in my opinion, going to do well in a shelter situation. And then of course Rorschach is fairly new to me, and Tomcat off the streets, not socialized. The fourth cat is Zara, and she was one of the animals that we took in last March and April from one particular home that had a lot of cats, a lot of pregnant cats, and I ended up taking 8 of the cats from that residence that were pregnant. I took all of the pregnant cats and housed them at my house last spring, and had them until their kittens were ready to go, and everybody's been adopted out except for Zara. Zara tested positive for feline leukemia, therefore she is a special needs rescue. She is not able to be in a home with other cats, and feline leukemia is something that she will have for the rest of her life and be contagious potentially to other cats, so needed a special environment. When I asked what was going to happen with Zara, was I bringing Zara in as well? They asked me to bring her in. They said that they would be making decisions as to what to do with her. Obviously that was concerning to me. It was then offered to me that I could adopt the 4 cats that I have under foster, which was not something that I wanted to do. For those of you that know me, know I have a very full contingent of foster fail animals at my house. I'm currently the owner of 4 dogs, 2 cats, and 7 parrots, all from rescue situations. For the most part, I would say all except for one of those animals. I'm trying to think through in my head the ones that I have were difficult cases. They were not going to be adopted easily, and I guess 2. We would call my dog Phoenix and my youngest adoption, Ani. Those 2 are dogs that puppies. I got them as puppies. They would have been able to been adopted out. They're lovely dogs with their own issues, of course, but don't we all have our own issues? And I just fell in love with them. So did not want to have 4 more cats of my own, but certainly knew that the 4 animals that I have were not going to do well in the shelter situation. I did write an extensive letter to the powers that be at DAWS, explaining the 4 animals and why I actually thought that they fell under one of the bullet points in the letter, being both special needs cats and cats that were not going to progress well in a shelter situation. My letter was not answered. It was not addressed. But when I took Rorschach in to be neutered, I was sent a link to adopt all 4 cats. And so I have done that, and am in the process of looking for a rescue or shelter to work with to get those animals out and adopted by individuals who are looking for a companion cat. But for right now, I guess technically I do not have any foster animals, because I have the 4 that were formerly foster animals are now actually mine. So that's what's happening there. Big changes. In my opinion, unfortunate changes. However, there are a lot of animals out there that need help. There are a lot of animals out there that need a soft place to land and need to have someone looking after them. And DAWS continues to take care of a group of animals that certainly need help. So I wish them well, and we're going to go forward and look at some different possibilities. So with that being said, we've updated a couple of things here. Now let's go forward. I think now it'd just be a good time to kind of go through the 4 cats again. This is Larkspur. This is when I first got Larkspur. And you can see she is certainly struggling. She had lived with a gentleman who had to go into a nursing home and then had a family member abusing her, doing such things as throwing her out of a 2nd floor window and leaving her out in the cold, where she then ultimately became pregnant. She has come to live with me and has progressed significantly. She is still shy at times, does not want to be held, does not want to be picked up, and is nervous in new situations, but has really become a great cat. She is definitely a wonderful candidate for the Cuddles Co-op, to be placed with a senior citizen or an individual with some special needs. She is now sleeping right beside the bed. For a while she was sleeping on the bed, but now she's decided she actually kind of prefers to be on the ground. So she stays curled up here beside me all night. And let's see if we can get her to look up here. Hey, pretty girl. Larkspur. Hi. Hi, can you say hi to everyone? Oh my goodness, I'm so tired. Look up here. Give everyone a pretty look. Say, I am beautiful, I am peaceful, and I am just a really sweet cat. This is Mystique, who has been with me for about 2.5 years now. You may hear me on occasion call her Sia as well. That was her original name that I gave her when she first arrived. She actually came from a situation where a rescue agreed to take a few cats to see if they could place them in exchange for the rescue that I was working with at the time, taking her, a feral, pregnant female cat. So she came to live with me. She had 3 gorgeous kittens. She is not aggressive at all. She is extremely shy. She is now, as you can see, working out to being in close proximity with me. When I'm in the room, used to be she would just hide under the bed and not come out until I left. Now she will be out in the room with me and not run unless I make a direct move towards her. She's a very docile cat and gets along with other cats as long as they are kind to her. She absolutely loves my cat Zazu, and the 2 of them can be found snuggling frequently. I actually think Sia would be a great companion cat for an elderly individual who is not looking for a snuggle buddy, but is just looking for a companion. This is beautiful Zara, who, as I mentioned before, came to me last year. She was one of 29 cats taken from a residence. Zara was actually one of the cats that was living mostly outdoors, but would come in to have something to eat and get out of the weather. She did end up pregnant, had her kittens out in the garage, and we were able to get her trapped on the day that her kittens were born and bring her back to the house to have her kittens in safety. And they have been adopted out and are living their best lives. Now in a new residence, she is sitting here by the window, enjoying watching the birds and the cars going by, and sometimes the snowfall. For those of you that don't know or aren't in the Northeast, we received about a foot of snow Sunday, so it's blanketed us in white, which is pretty, but makes travel difficult. So anyway, Zara has been here since November and is doing very well here. She is starting to venture out now. She will take treats from my hand and is starting to actually play with toys, retractable toys, retractable wands especially. As you can see, she's definitely a happy girl, quite content, and we're just happy to have a spot for her. One of my favorite parts of fostering animals, specifically those that have had some hard knocks, meaning that they've come from the streets or they've come from a bad situation, is just watching them change over time. And as you can see here with Zara, she's learning to trust a cat who was on the streets, fearful of people, is learning to come forward, take some treats, play with some toys. She's starting to learn joy. And that is one of the things that excites me so much about fostering animals that are a little more spicy. And like I said, one of the things that makes me very sad about DAWS making the decision to no longer take in the unfriendly mother cat or the feral tomcat. For those that you don't know, I'm an occupational therapist by profession, and I've worked most of my career with people with special needs and with the senior population. And I see such an opportunity here to match these animals with individuals who really need them as much as they need someone to care for them. These are pairings that are going to take more time and effort and really a coordination of specific animal to specific individual. And that's where I actually get excited about this new program of the Cuddles Co-op or the Tom's Gone Tame, where we can match those cats that didn't have a chance, that weren't easy to adopt, with individuals who really need the companionship, but maybe don't need the super friendly cat that's going to sit in their lap or get under their feet. They need the cat that's just there to be around. Margie wasn't sure she needed a cat in her life, but she was open to the idea of having Zara come to live with her because Zara was in a situation with leukemia that she couldn't be easily placed. 3 months later, as you can see here, Margie's now actively playing with Zara. She's watching out for her. She's wanting to know where she is. She's talking with her when no one is there. Zara is giving her new purpose and someone to love. Yes, Zara has leukemia and Margie has Alzheimer's. And that doesn't matter one bit to either one of them. I'm extremely fortunate to be caregiving for the mother of my best friend, which gives me the flexibility to continue to foster puppies and kittens and to be able to take them over to my place of work. And in the trade-off, the puppies get love and attention from Margie, and they give love and attention back. These two puppies are Lucy, the blonde, and Gru, the gray puppy. They came to spend a couple of weeks with me and ultimately spend some time with Margie and have gone on to live their best lives. Rorschach was neutered with no problems and has come back leukemia-free. I have moved him into a double wide enclosure to give him a little bit more freedom. I am probably going to give him a couple more weeks for testosterone levels to reduce before I get him out with the rest of the cats in the room and see how he does. In November of 2024, I trapped 7 cats that were a small community out in Danbury, Connecticut, and brought all of them back to my house. I did have one who was pregnant. That would be Magpie. But this is Domino. And Domino was a tomcat. He was very afraid, very nervous. He spent a good 8 or 9 months under my bed, refusing to come out unless I was no longer in the room. After about 6 or 7 months, he started taking a chance on batting at my feet as I would walk around the edge of the bed. I would talk to him and lean down to put my hand out for him and just let him know that he was okay and that was okay to do. The next step was Domino started coming out when I was feeding and started trying to stand between my legs while I was dishing out the food for everyone. He would quickly move away if I made a move towards him, but that was the first real sign of attempting to be close. And then, as you can see here, he started to let me pet him while I was feeding them. Next, he started venturing up onto the bed when I was set for the night and moving closer with time and seeing if maybe he could sit on the bed without being threatened. Then he started letting me pet him while he was on the bed. And within a short time, he was sleeping on my chest. James wanted a male cat as a companion who he could teach some things, learn some things, and enjoy the companionship. And now Domino lives with James, another successful tomcat from the streets, living happily in his forever family. Maverick was a tomcat living on the streets in Stratford, Connecticut a year ago last November. He had a massive wound on his neck. Protocol states that the animal must be in quarantine for 6 months and watched closely for rabies. That is a protocol that means that most animals don't get a chance. But Michael was looking for a long-term foster. He and his family were hopeful that a cat would help soothe Michael and be an emotional support animal. In December, Michael adopted Maverick and now calls him his son and attributes his successes in life and his happiness to Maverick, a tomcat from the streets. The queen of the saucy mamas, Cuddles, is living her best life with Barbara. Barbara is happy as can be with Cuddles, who follows her around the house, sits beside her on the couch, and demands that Barbara treat her like the queen she is. Last October, I was asked if I would take Victor, who had come in on a transport and was extremely fearful and absolutely not handling shelter life okay, at 4 months. And of course, I took him in. We spent time socializing him and loving him, fell in love with him, and I am happy to announce that my son's girlfriend, Zaria, has adopted him. Unfortunately, until I find a rescue to work with, I will be covering the costs of the cats here on my own. If you would like to help, your donations are always accepted. and appreciated. I do have an Amazon wish list, as well as accepting gift cards for Petco or Tractor Supply. I do have a PayPal account as well, listed in the links on the site. Thank you so much for your help, for your attention, and for your support. Thanks for joining me for a soft pause.